Hey everybody, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is a market radar video and a video to take a look at setups that are happening going into next week. Now, today's Thursday, so I'm getting an early start on our watch list. We've been killing it with the stocks, and we're going to go over it in this video right now. It's going to be a combination of looking back at showing you exactly what worked and why it worked, and the setups that we're looking at to work next week. And basically, as you know, I preach the same thing. Same setups, not going to give you anything less. Not going to bring any junk to the table. Basically, what we're going to be looking for is high probability setups that are based on the high probability methodology. Excuse me. It's been a long day. It's St. Patty's Day. I'm here at the office still, and like I said, I want to get an early look at the markets going into next week. So I want to kind of put out a list for the members of Day Trading Radio of the stocks that you're going to be probably seeing on this week's watch list, or actually next week's watch list. But first of all, let's just talk about the overall markets. Incredible strength in this market. You know, since we made that low back in February, I mean, it's been a nice move up, and we haven't really had too many days, down days. This thing has just been cranking up, and we felt that strength, and we knew that we're going to get back up here in that 2020 area. But if you look at the price now, we're at 2040. We're 20 points over that 2020 target we had, or at least the area of interest where I was, looking at the market up at this level and saying, all right, maybe we should start looking at hedging our longs into this zone here. But the market continues to look very strong going into the last day of the week tomorrow. It's quadruple witching. A lot of people think that we have a pullback coming. I'm not 100% sold on that yet. I think there's a 50-50 chance of, and that's not giving you much. It's kind of being on the fence today on seeing the market push a little bit further. But I want to start getting into positions tomorrow to, kind of look at some shorts and some continued hedges going into next week. So I have a feeling if I could kind of play out how I see tomorrow playing out is, a further push higher. And at one point, we might roll over. But even if we close on the highs or close near the highs or having a pretty decent, strong day tomorrow, I would like the short into that weakness going into Monday. All right. So I don't know how far we get, if we get even further, how the futures right now are in positive territory. We seem to be, stable. But it's a Friday. It's an options expiration. It's quadruple witching. Anything can happen. But we're still seeing that great strength in the market, and when people are looking for a pullback, that gives the market just enough reason to push further. So the bias is continue to the upside, but tomorrow, being a Friday, I would look at, eyeballing some of those hedges, probably going into a couple more puts in the SPY, and really take it from that point on. But that doesn't mean that this market's not going higher. And you're going to see a lot of the setups that we're going to be talking about going into next week are actually bullish setups. Now let's review what worked this week, and this is pretty impressive. These are the stocks off the HPS watch list off the last 2 weeks. We have just tremendous green on our list, and I'm actually showing some of these to the public right now, just to show you that these are all the stocks we've been tracking, and they automatically, get calculated, when we have a certain buy area. And I'll show you, I'm going to actually go into this right now. We'll just, as an example, use Starbucks as an example. And this is in case someone might be new to the site or to the video. What we do is we find these setups, we put our buy zones in, our profit zones, and this is all programmed on the in our servers, that when we hit this price, you get an automatic generated email or an alert. You get an alert in the trade alert box, you get an alert on text, and you get an alert on email any way you want it. It lets you know, that's the level that we're looking at to get in. I'll usually take that trade with you. And then, of course, the profit zone and the stop is already programmed in also. So once that entry zone is triggered, whatever happens next gets triggered and gets sent out too. And you can see, again, this is a divergence setup. This was a 60-minute divergence setup, and this is one of our key setups that I look for in the markets. And you're actually going to see a couple of these playing out going into tomorrow. And we'll push on that little arrow here, which updates the trade, and you can see this is going back. And look at the move here. Remember, this is a 60-minute time frame. This is not a daily time frame, so there's multiple candles in the day here. It's like a 2-day move, but a fantastic fantastic setup. And what we've been seeing over the last couple of days is that the flags have been now playing out in this market. I want to just show you that Starbucks here one more time, SPUX. We're going to take a look at that daily setup here, and this is what we were counting on. This little flag, and what happens is we get that pullback, but we also get that rotation. We know we use the stochastics a lot on our timing, on momentum, and we use some other things that are lining up, especially the recognizable pattern, but also that divergence, which was right here. So everything here played out as a buy signal right here, and there's the results. So when I say I just want to continue to show you these setups, that's all I want to show you. So some days they're not going to be there, some days they're going to be there in spades, and we're going to take them when we see them, and that's it. All right, CSX here was another position we had this week, and we just took profits today as it triggered our profit zone. Again, we got in down here. This is another key flag. You can see the small little flag here. And I've been in this stock multiple times, so we continue to hold. When we look back at the chart, sometimes you'll see my old positions. And then here are the new positions. And we just tagged the profit zone today. We sold into that. So a very good trade. It was a nice trade. It was just, very safe. HPS type of quality setup. And I'm just going to go show you each one of these and show you why they're working out. So this is a flag setup. You had the stochastic lifting up off of this. It was already multiple tests of this downward trend line. And then during, when we were looking at this setup here, we're also paying attention to that 60-minute time frame and some other things that are happening at that point. And that couple days, this is on the hourly. You can see that 60-minute time frame is pulling back, but we're holding strength. This is another good example of that flag, and like I said before, you're going to see a lot more flags coming into this market now. I want to show you a couple more right now. This was what we call a lower channel line bounce, a stochastic rotation, lower channel line bounce. It was also a divergence setup. So we got in here, and you can see we popped right up into our profit zone. We took profits. It actually retreated back down into our buy zone, and we took it again. So right now we're currently long this. It actually put a little decent candle. But this original entry zone and target has already been things. So this trade is actually, I'd actually watch that lower trend line. There's a couple levels underneath it, so we move down to it. And it doesn't give a good representation of the divergence here. And I want to try to show you that on the other chart. That was ANAC. Let's see if we can see that daily. So right here, you can see there's a couple good candles. There was a candle here and a candle here. And we had this kind of a double bottom divergence play out right now, right from this candle right here. And this low right here, which was higher than this previous low. So we started to turn back up. We got the nice move. We sold into it. Now it's pulled back, and it's kind of given us another divergence here. We took out the lows. We haven't crossed back up yet, but it's something to watch going forward. It's not the same setup I liked before because we had two good reversal candles back here. And this trade is officially, in the books, but I did get back into it, so I'm actually going to keep an eye on this one. Drugs have been getting smashed, but drugs are going to be part of the watch list next week too, because there's actually a couple good setups we'll get to down the road here. The next setup was Oshkosh, and this was a little more difficult one, but what I've identified here is the rising higher lows on the stochastic oscillator here. And when we have that, that's a sign of a continued or longer term trend, and it trends out longer than the average rotation in a stock that we normally see with overbought to oversold. So once we start to make those higher lows, that's really good. And this one kind of pulled away from us at this point. So what I did is I understood there was a rising trend line, and I wanted to get this on the pullback. So we set the alert for the pullback. And again, these are all on the HPS setup on the dashboard. And you can see we pulled back to it. We just tagged it. You can barely see that candle, but we tagged it. The alert went out, and then look at the reaction to that. Pushed right up into our profit zone, right up against the 200-period moving average. These are all up to date too. So, you could continue to look back at these charts just to see if there's any other notes there. But a lot of these, now that they've all triggered and they're extended, I'm going to end up taking these off. So take these off so there's not too much stuff that's here. We're just going to keep the ones that are active. The watching ones, the actives, and the new ones I'm going to put on there tonight and tomorrow. Oshkosh and Monsanto. Monsanto was a great one anyway. It just kind of gapped over our zone. It actually it was an interesting setup here on Monsanto. And I've talked about these the last couple of weeks. So if Monsanto was a perfect lower trend line. And what happened was Goldman Sachs came out with a sell recommendation. And it gapped down, but it didn't gap down to hit our buy zone. And what happened is it pulled back just slightly and then reversed. And look at it now. I mean, that's the power of Goldman selling, coming in. So this is kind of cool because there's a lot of stocks that could easily get downgrades now and would, technically or, in some way put in a bottom because, when you look back at a Monsanto and you look back at this chart, you wonder where Goldman's coming out with this sell recommendation because they were long, it was $120 and then it's, $80. And at this point, right at the lows, they decided to issue a sell recommendation on it. And from that point on, it moved up. And it's just, at that point also, you probably got yourself a nice divergence. You got yourself a divergence. You got the lower trend line. You got everything working in your favor. So technicals work better than this, this crap that you get sometimes that just kind of these little traps. You can wake up, you get a downgrade, you get someone chattering about your company. It just ruins the patterns. But this is what we're always looking for. We're looking for that edge, that recognizable range, the candlesticks, the divergences, everything that everything that comes together. That's what we're waiting for. And this was, another great example of it. They're all great examples of it because you know what? I'm not going to bring you anything else. Seagate's interesting because we got back into this one. And this is we're going to take a look at this one over here. These are already played out. You can see how this moved up into the profit zone. Now this was another series of higher lows on the stochastics. The lower trend line, and this is what we call a lower trend line bounce. It actually broke down through this trend line, bounced back up, chopped around, and then held it right here. Once we started holding it, that candle, that big reversal candle, it's very easy to put a stop under that and look for this candle, this big trend line here to actually hold up and us to move up off of that. So that's where we are now. And we took profits into that, and I recently got back into it because I do feel that the STX has potential to move up higher, because look at how far we've moved down off of it. We're back inside of this channel, and we're flagged out into this channel. Like to see the breakout here and push us up here above 36. This stock is also ripe for some kind of chatter, some kind of activist, and anything. It could be rumored of a takeover. It could be, anything can happen on Seagate. I've seen it happen. I've been in this game long enough to know and follow this stock long enough to see this thing go from $5 to $65, now back to $34. So we're watching that one closer, and I'll probably put a chart on that one for tomorrow. Now this is a public video. I'm putting this out on YouTube, and I'm not going to go into the really great setups. I'm going to save those for the members of Day Trading Radio, but I am going to give you a couple freebies right now. This is a great setup. This is an active trade that we're in. Disney. It's an HBS setup, as you can see in the. I already showed you on the site. You could look at it, but I'll show it to you right now. It's the top one on the screen. We got in a couple days ago. We're already making some serious cash on this, and what we're going to do is open it up. And again, you get this as a member of Day Trading Radio. It has all the levels, and remember, these are all programmed in, so you get the automatic emails when your zones are being hit, when your profit zones hit. If your stop is hit, you get that automatically sent to your box, instantaneous. In this case, we got into this 98, 98, 80, a very tight buy zone. And here you can see I bought into some calls and stuff, and you can see we're starting to move out on this. A nice candlestick today. And we had that series of higher lows on the stochastics. And if we look back at it on a different chart, I like to break these down on all multiple charts and stuff. You could see that the hourly or the daily here is we had this flag, and that's a good basic flag, holding the 20-period moving average. The turn up at this point here tells me that the trend probably is a stronger trend because we actually moved up. We came off of this downward channel. We broke out of it. So whenever we break out of a channel, that bottom here represents that lower pivot area. All right. Once we break out effectively, or we could actually consider this trend to be changed, and now we've established the upward trend. And what we normally watch is that rotation back. And if we get that rotation either back to an oversold level or it starts to turn back up, then that's what we use as our pivot area. In this case, it was forming a flag. So it's, I like when we see a flag in Disney. It's a stock that, we could follow. We could see a continuation pattern because we broke down to this channel, pushed up, flagged out. We're going to continue to push up to the 200 period moving average, probably much higher. So we're currently in that. And like I said, there's a lot of flags that are lining up. And I'm going to give you another one. This one I really do like. And I'll be talking about this. And we're going to put these charts on with the buy zones, the profit zones, and the stops. Dunkin' Donuts here, a real nice flag. Great setup there. And there's, of course, we just got out of potash today. Potash was a killer setup. Just unbelievable to be able to get into an $18 stock and take it above $19 in just a couple days. It's to recognize when that stock is going to move. You don't want to be in this crappy chop holding your money. You want to be able to get in, wait for that pop, take it off. The hardest part, like I always stress on the radio, is taking profits. It's easy enough to wait for the perfect setup. I do enough research out there that we're going to get most of the setups, delivered to you. But the hard part is I'm not going to reach through that, that computer screen and push that button. And I have a hard time pushing that button too. Sometimes you could be a little bit greedy and keep things on a little bit longer, and the next thing you know, you're pulling them back, and it just ruins everything. So the setups here are great. It's just a matter of there's two parts of the puzzle. One is the entry, one is the exit. And in this case, we did take that exit today, but I do see this one moving higher. So any type of pullback or any type of consolidation on the 60 would probably give us reason to get back in. Now there's plenty of there. We have the potash, we have the Dunkin' Donuts. Take a look at the Yum Brands, YUM. Same setup. Now this flag, very similar to the flag we're seeing in Dunkin' Donuts, but it hasn't broken out yet. But a very similar setup. And what you see is a flag like this holding the 200. We pop out of it, we come back to this old retracement trend line. So, these are all active, and I got a lot more here. But this is where I'm going to end this because I want to get the other video out to the members that are going to deal with the drug stocks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 14 setups going into next week. 14. All right, so let's leave it at that. And don't forget, I broadcast live every single day, Monday through Friday, from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. When we trade live on the show, and this is what we do. And we've crushed CMG. CMG will be in play next week. We had that yesterday on we just, everything good. It's all good. All right. That's it. It's 18 minutes into this video. Have a great St. Paddy's Day. Happy St. Paddy's Day, and be safe. And I'll see you in the markets tomorrow. And if you're a member, watch out for the, just continue listening. The watch list is going to start right now.